In today's video, we dive into 3 chilling stories where ordinary days turned into extraordinary emergencies. From unexpected lockdowns at school to harrowing encounters with armed intruders, these tales will keep you on the edge of your seat. Buckle up and get ready for some heart-pounding moments. It was a typical dreary Monday afternoon in 8th grade English class. Clouds outside hung low and gray, threatening rain. We were all quietly working on an essay when the school intercom suddenly crackled to life. Our principal's voice, usually calm and composed, now trembled with urgency as she announced, "Teachers, please initiate lockdown procedures immediately. This is not a drill." My heart skipped a beat as the room fell into a heavy silence. Our teacher, usually so collected, quickly rushed to lock the door and switch off the lights. She motioned for us to move to the far corner of the room, away from the windows and door. We huddled together, trying to make ourselves as small and silent as possible. Minutes ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. The only sound was the rain beginning to patter against the windows, a soft but ominous backdrop to our fear. Suddenly, the faint sound of hurried footsteps echoed down the hallway, followed by a muffled voice that seemed to be pleading or shouting. It was hard to tell. Then, the unmistakable sound of something heavy being thrown against a locker reverberated through the walls. My heart pounded in my chest as the footsteps grew louder, moving closer to our classroom. The tension in the room was suffocating. A couple of students began to quietly sob, their fear palpable. The footsteps stopped right outside our door. My breath caught in my throat. We heard a low, menacing growl, followed by the sound of something scraping against the door. The doorknob rattled as if someone was trying to force it open. My mind raced with terror, imagining what could be on the other side. Just as suddenly as it started, the rattling stopped. Footsteps retreated down the hallway. The tension remained. We sat frozen, listening intently until the only sound left was the steady rhythm of the rain. After what felt like an eternity, the principal's voice came back over the intercom. Her tone was a mix of relief and lingering fear as she informed us that the intruder had been apprehended. A man, disoriented and disturbed, wandered into the school. Thankfully, he was unarmed, but the terror he'd instilled in all of us was real and lasting. Even after we were told it was safe, no one moved. We sat there, still huddled together, processing the fact that we were okay, but forever changed by those tense moments. For weeks, the incident was all anyone could talk about. Rumors swirled about the man's background and his motives, but the one thing that stuck with me the most was the sheer helplessness I felt during those long, terrifying minutes. During the first lunch period, I suddenly heard 4 loud bangs. I assumed it was just thunder, but before I could process it, the entire cafeteria erupted in screams. I thought everyone was overreacting, but then campus security stormed in, yelling for everyone to get into the multi-purpose room immediately. Even the students who were in the middle of buying lunch had gone in. My friends and I were among the large group of students herded into the room. The multi-purpose room is quite spacious, with a back wall made entirely of glass. As soon as we were inside, security began pulling the curtains across the glass, and teachers stood at every exit, ensuring no one left. My friend Eric, as curious as the rest of us, decided to ask one of the adults what was going on. When he returned, he looked seriously shaken. "You know those houses right in front of the school?" he asked. I nodded. "There's this mentally unstable guy who lives there. He's barricaded himself inside and is threatening to kill himself and any police officers who try to evict him. Earlier, he was outside watching Muxium." As if that wasn't bad enough, Eric continued to tell us that the man was also a registered sex offender. We ended up stuck in the multi-purpose room for over an hour, missing 2 periods of class. Eventually, once the situation was under control, We were escorted back to our seat. Later, I found out that the man lives next to my friend Brandy. She told me about last Halloween when she saw him at his window, cutting his arm and writing, "Don't come here or I'll kill you," on the glass with his own blood. At the time, everyone, including Brandy, thought it was just a Halloween prank. But after that terrifying day, we realized just how disturbed he really was. We were all relieved that he never got close to any of us. I'm now 22, fresh out of college, and I recently started working as a computer intern at my old high school. My office is in the basement, which is usually a mess, but there's a small office down there that's actually pretty nice. It's set up for 3 people, with big desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV, and best of all, air conditioning, a luxury the rest of the school doesn't have. It's also where all the school servers and other tech equipment are kept, making it a perfect spot to work. I landed my job thanks to the immense support from 3 of my old computer teachers, who were more like friends than just educators. They vouched for me and made sure I got the position. Everything was going smoothly until a few weeks ago when something happened that I'll never forget. On that particular day, my coworkers, Dave and Gary, were upstairs working on some paperwork. I was alone in our small cozy office, enjoying my sandwich during my lunch break. Suddenly, I received a call from one of the women in the front office. She informed me that the school was on lockdown because someone, possibly armed, had entered the premises. With no real way to secure the office since it had no door and the basement door didn't lock, I had no choice but to turn off all the lights and my computer screen. I texted Dave and Gary, but neither responded. The minutes dragged on as I sat in the dark, playing games on my phone and waiting for any update. The silence was eerie. I had no idea what was happening upstairs, and was instructed not to make any calls until I received confirmation that the lockdown was over. Then, I heard the basement door creak open, the sound echoing into my office. I tensed up, wondering if I should call out to Gary or Dave. Footsteps began to approach my office. Panicking, I pushed my chair aside and crawled under the desk. The intruder entered the office, didn't turn on the lights. Fear I felt was palpable. One wrong move, and I could be in grave danger. Just then, my phone dinged with a text message. My heart raced as I felt a surge of dread. Footsteps grew louder. I finally mustered the courage to peek out from under the desk, only to find a man in a red plaid shirt, jeans, and a reddish-black cap standing there. Grabbed my arm and pulled me up, saying, "It's okay, I'm hiding here with you. What's going on?" I whispered back, asking him who he was. He briefly explained that he had come to pick up his son and had been told to hide by a teacher. Before he could say more, I asked him again who he was. He was evasive, and my anxiety spiked as I noticed something off about him. Then I glanced at my phone and saw a text from Dave. "Dude, this is insane. There's a guy with a gun shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and a hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." My stomach dropped as I looked up at the man. Realization hit me hard. He matched the description in Dave's text. My only thought was to escape. I bolted for the basement stairs as a gunshot rang out, the bullet ricocheting off something metal nearby. Miraculously, the bullet missed me. I made it upstairs, where police were waiting at all exits. Police apprehended the man as soon as he opened the basement door. Fortunately, Mr. Buckley survived the gunshot. It turned out that the man had a personal grudge against him, though the details were never fully revealed. All we knew was that Mr. Buckley didn't deserve such a violent reaction. The sound of that gunshot will haunt me forever, but I'm grateful for the swift action of the police and the fact that everyone came out of this ordeal relatively unscathed.